Forbes Books presents Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow. Transformation for a new and better world. Here's David.
Thanks for joining me once again for my discussion with Bill Fay, the former CEO of Legendary Pictures. In part one, we discussed his astonishing film career that included movies like The Patriot, Independence Day, 300, and the Hangover series. Now, Bill, before we move on to your current job as CEO of Steric Systems, I wanted to ask you a quick question. You've often said, get into business with the right partner. How do you know when you find the right partner?
Interesting. It's, I think a lot of it is based on history. I mean, really doing your research and finding how the people you're getting into business treat their partners. A great case in point, I have to say, is Warner Brothers. We were lucky enough, as I mentioned, with Legendary to make our overall deal with Warner Brothers. And one of the things that drew us to Warner Brothers was the fact that they had a good reputation for treating their partners well. And Alan Horn was the head of the studio, a wonderful, amazing guy and a person of great integrity. We had a lot of faith when we made the deal that it would be a good, fair relationship for us. And they absolutely delivered. They were just great partners. I think that's critical for anybody in business, particularly in the film business, which I think is not known for having or put it this way, attracts a lot of people that aren't necessarily people that you want to be in partnership with, right? That you can trust. But if you take the approach in the business to being somebody that has integrity and being somebody that delivers on their promises and somebody that will stand by a partner when the going gets tough, certainly in the long term, that is going to work in your favor. People notice that. And reputation means something. And reputation for making things that are successful means something, but reputation for being somebody who has some integrity and sticks to their guns means a lot also.
You've always been a movie guy, but now I understand you're on a mission to disrupt the spirits industry with Steric Systems. When you've developed a revolutionary process for making spirits smoother and more flavorful. My first question is, how did this happen?
Well, it's a bit of a left turn for me. What happened is at the beginning of the whole pandemic, the movie business was essentially completely shut down. And I had a couple of things that I'd been working on, and everything was put on hold. And right about that time, a friend of mine actually from grad school came to me with this invention that he developed with a couple of his partners. He's like an amazing Renaissance man, jack of all trades, inventor, engineer, and his partners are really smart guys too. One of them has 25 patents and used to be head of R&D at Disney Imagineering and a couple other places, and the other one designs missile sleds for the US government, software control stuff. And these guys got together and spent some time experimenting around with different processes in the liquor business, and eventually they developed this kind of electromagnetic process that changes the character of a spirit, of an alcohol, on a molecular level, and actually makes it more flavorful and smoother, and it makes it taste better. It sounds ridiculous, but I tried it. I was kind of impressed. So a good friend of mine is the general manager at Southern Wine and Spirits. So we all flew to Miami and tried it with him and his team, and they were kind of blown away by it as well. So I just said, I'm jumping in with both feet. I'll help finance the making of our first prototype, and I'll jump in and be CEO of the company. And haven't looked back. I'm just having a great time with it. We went out and raised a few $1 million in capital and built a number of these machines. And we're now just getting in front of people in the spirits business to put these machines in. And what we built is a machine that processes about 25 gallons of alcohol a minute. So it's built for high capacity distillers to run their bourbon or vodka or rum or whatever it is through this machine. And on the other side, they're going to get a more flavorful product. So it's been an amazing experience.
That's really exciting. What do people in Hollywood and mainline industry think of this disruption?
I mean, this is definitely a disruptive product. It doesn't exist anywhere. There's not anything really even that competitive with it. And what we're finding is it really depends on the company, how open they are to innovation. There are a couple of companies that we've been dealing with early on that are very tech forward, that are comfortable with innovation and exploration, and really want to kind of jump into this with both feet. And then we're finding others, which is no surprise, I think, if you think about especially the bourbon business and the whiskey business, which is all built on deep tradition and that idea that you've got, Grandpappy's old recipe that he started back during Prohibition from a still in his backyard and had to outrun the the feds in his car every couple of weeks. It's very tradition-bound business, and those companies are going to be a lot more hesitant about adding a process, even something like this, which doesn't take anything out of the spirit. It doesn't add anything. It's not changing anything like that other than the flavor and the smoothness of it. Still, the idea of doing something new when they've been doing it one way for 80 years or 100 years is, a bit of a hill to climb. But we're certainly getting traction, and I think a lot of those companies are going to come around as they see us starting to partner with other distillers. And again, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, the great thing about what we're doing is I can put our little demo machine, which is the size of a carry-on, in front of somebody, pour liquor in the top, it comes out processed through the bottom, and they can do an A and B sample of those, and one is remarkably better. And we've kind of taken the approach of really getting some industry leaders into this early. So we have a number of the top whiskey tasters and people with a lot of respect in the business that have tried this and will speak to it. So we've got, it's not just these guys from Hollywood coming in and saying, we're going to make your booze better. We actually are getting some very well-known people behind us that will vouch for the benefits of what we're doing.
And it's a B2B model. You believe the target market is virtually the entire world that can benefit from pure smooth process. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, the grand slam home run for us is if this became like any other built-in component of your liquor distilling and processing and rectifying, which is where you cut it to the proper proof. We certainly improve nearly everything we've tried it on and feel like that our market is absolutely everywhere. But that's a tough sell. I mean, if you're selling Jim Beam and you've been making the same way, as I said, for every years, you're probably not going to change your flagship because that's what everybody's used to. But if you want to come out with a premium product or a different version of it that has a different and I think demonstrably better taste, we can provide you an inexpensive way to do that. So yes, really, virtually, we're looking at a worldwide market. We've tried it on Chinese baijiu, which is China's national drink. Believe it or not, they sell more baijiu in the world in terms of cases per year than bourbon, scotch, rum, and vodka all put together. So there's huge potential for this with just about every spirit there is out there. I'm planning on making a trip to Mexico to meet with some tequila producers in the next couple of months. I'm sure we'll be taking a trip to China at some point as well to demonstrate the tech. It's kind of a wide open space.
You're right in the test phase. That's correct. So in other words, you're past the bench and then you're in the testing and you're starting to work with regional people. Is that where you're at right now?
Yes, we now have a minimum viable product. I mean, we've built a machine, actually a number of them, that process 25 gallons a minute. So we've got machines that are ready for installation in distillers. We're really at that kind of customer acquisition point. We've got a couple of great people that are working with us as advisors and consultants who have deep contacts in the liquor business. And working with them now, we're just starting to expose this technology to select companies in the business, the people that we think A, are tech forward, and B, could really benefit right off the bat from the technology. At the same time, we're doing all our lab research and everything else. So we've got tests from spirits laboratories that really demonstrate the fact that we're having this marked effect on the spirits that go through. And it's a tough business that way because you can't really, the bottom line is, how does it taste? So there's only so much you can do through the lab work, but the lab work does demonstrate that we're affecting the different alcohols that are in our spirit on a molecular level. So we got that going for us. And by using those lab results and then doing taste tests with these various companies, we've had pretty good success starting out getting them, really getting their interest. So we're now just in that kind of exploration phase with a couple different companies where we're showing them what we can do, and they're starting to think about how they apply it to their business. I mean, do they create a new premium spirit out of their flagship by processing through this? Do they use it to fix things that are maybe a little rough or not quite at the level they want to be at? Do they want to use it to create new brands? All of that is kind of coming into play. We have one paying customer right now on at a bulk level, and they're processing mainly tequila and vodka and that sort of stuff. I feel over the next few months we're going to get a lot of traction with it. We're at a really exciting point right now where we're just in the process of bringing it to market.
You've taken big swings your entire career. What's your approach to risk calculus? When do you decide to pull that trigger and make that big decision?
That's a great question. I think by getting your education in the film business, you're inherently in such a risky business that you kind of develop a pretty tough skin in that way, and you develop that ability to take risks because you almost don't have a choice. So I think it's kind of a great education for that. And you realize, I think part of what comes into that whenever you take those risks is you have to realize that the potential for failure is pretty high. But if you keep at it, hopefully you'll have a couple of failures and a couple of successes. And as I said, if you have a couple of failures and a couple of successes in the movie business, you're doing really, really great, because the success can be a lot bigger than the failure. I don't consider myself a crazy risk taker. I mean, I did mortgage my house to keep things afloat when we were trying to get Legendary off the ground. But other than that, I've at least tried to make sure I've got, the basics for my family and taking care of everybody. And if I've got that, then I feel like I've got, I can take those risks. And if they don't work out, then, you'll move on to the next thing. I'm always impressed with people that I see outside the film business that have that ability. And I think I've tried to learn from that, is that ability to really jump in wholeheartedly into something that you believe in, but being aware that you may end up taking that in a different direction, that where you've kind of wasted some time maybe going down one road, but there's an opportunity for that takes you in a completely different direction, and being willing to drop plan A and switch to plan B is an incredibly valuable asset.
You've done a master class giving back and teaching to a new group of film professionals coming up. Can you take us through what you teach and what the important lessons learned are?
I think if I had to put a very quick pin in what I'm teaching, it's really simply, how do you produce a movie? How do you make a movie, and what goes into that? And I love doing it. There's so many young people all around the world that want to get in the business and have great ideas and have real passion and are really trying to learn how to do it and how to avoid, those potholes and missteps that can derail you. I really kind of walk them through the whole production process from inception to release, and beyond release to really help them kind of make those proper steps. And certainly if I had to think about some of the most important things, most important lessons I've learned that I really try to impart are, I think when I got out of film school, I thought, it really seemed to me if you made a good movie, then it would be a success. People would come to see it. All you had to do was make a good movie. And that's simply not the case. You have to make a good movie, but you've also got to make a movie that can find its audience. You've also got to make a movie that a distributor is willing to spend their money on to distribute. And you have to make a movie that you can market that will reach the people that you need to reach. That's a critical lesson, because the bottom line is, getting back to this idea of show business, the measure of success in terms of getting the money to make your next movie has everything to do with how your last movie did. Over the long term, you've got to make movies that make money, because if you don't, pretty soon people stop giving you money, and you need money to make movies. If you're a painter or a sculptor or in a number of different art forms, you can really follow your own instincts completely, and it doesn't matter. When you make a movie, people are giving you millions and millions of dollars, and they expect they may get some benefits, and they love going to the premiere or some other reasons why they might make that. But ultimately, the main reason they're giving you that money is they want you to give them more money back when the movie goes into profits. So that's a critical lesson, and I think it's a challenging lesson for people starting in the business to learn. The other thing is just how critical teamwork is to the film process. And young producers and directors, certainly that's, I think, an important lesson for them. You need to hire good people. You need to hire the right people for that project. The great thing about film production for me is it's an incredible lesson in hiring the right people, because we're putting together a brand new team. It's literally starting a new business every time you start a movie. You've got to go out and find a cinematographer. You've got to go out and find an art director. You've got to go out and find the other 200 people that are going to make that movie. Obviously, you're not hiring every single one of them, but you're making a decision on all the key people. So you've got to hire those good people. You've got to work as a team. The other thing that I really try and hammer through to young producers and directors is that you need to be confident enough in yourself to be open to suggestion. I've always tried to work this way, and I never quite had the right description for it, but I heard Andrew Garfield, the actor, talking about working with Lin-Manuel Miranda on Tick, Tick, Boom. And he said Lin-Manuel runs his set with the precept that the best idea wins. And I think that's a great way to put it. Younger producers and directors tend to think that it's important for them because you're getting constantly bombarded with decisions you've got to make under incredible duress, in rain and snow and crazy stuff going on, and actors that don't show up and people that get sick. And you've got this machine that's running that you have to keep on track. And it's really, I think a lot of younger producers and directors, and I've worked with a lot of first-time directors, feel like they have to know everything or pretend that they know everything and have all the answers. And the fact is, you've got this incredible team. If you've hired the right people, you've got this incredible team of good people around you. And if you take the approach that the best idea wins and have the confidence to be open to suggestion, it's going to make your final result a lot better and a lot stronger. It's absolutely a collaborative art form. And the guy who's bringing you your coffee may have an idea for a perspective on the scene you're shooting that suddenly becomes the best idea in the room. And you have to be willing to accept that.
You play cards, say weekly or as COVID allows, with peers, and that may be probably the best mastermind group in Hollywood or any other place in the world. If you care to share who plays and who wins, or is that kind of like a confidential thing, or anything you'd like to share from that?
I'm definitely not going to share who wins. That would only get me in trouble. I think I probably do better than average, but yeah, there are some that really have a knack for it, and there are some that probably need some work. Cards are really interesting because I think that they tend to be a little bit of an expression of who the person is, and I think golf can sometimes be that way too. So your positive and negative traits will tend to show up and be positive and negative traits at the poker table. I love doing it. Since COVID hit, I play in a game once a week where we play online and we Zoom together. So all of us are together talking while we play, and it's a lot of fun. I don't know that we've solved any Hollywood and world problems, but there's certainly a lot of things that get tackled and ideas that get thrown around, and some incredible conversations that come out of it as well. I was a couple of months ago just playing, and we were down to 2 people, and it was David Zaslav, who's the head of Discovery and now obviously the head of Warner's and HBO, and I were the last 2 people, and we just, while we were playing cards, we were having this incredible discussion of, you know, the state of the film business and how it interacts with the various unions and what the, you know, all the benefits that come out of that, and, you know, ways that you might structure it to keep that collaboration process going well. And it was just a fascinating conversation, and one that I probably wouldn't have had if we weren't sitting around playing cards. So it's a lot of fun, and it's just a great brain exercise for me, and kind of makes it easy for me to forget any other stresses I've got going on at the time.
Okay. You're also known for playing in a band. You'd be kind enough to share what instrument you play, the name of the band, and where your band plays from time to time, which I assume that you just took a little bit of a respite from?
We have, yes. It hasn't been a great time for live performances over the last couple of years. Yeah, the band I play in is called Second Sight, and it's made up of a bunch of people that are directors, producers, and film executives. All of us either played in bar bands or were in touring bands or something in our 20s, and then, of course, gave it up because we had to make a career where we made some money. All of us have sort of gotten back into it now, and the guys in this band are great musicians, by the way. I'm so lucky to be in a band with these really talented guys who, as I said, just gave it up because they had better opportunity in the movie business. We started playing around town in these little venues in LA, and at one point got spotted by a promoter, and he said, "You guys would be great to open up for these big 80s and 90s bands that I'm booking." And so suddenly then we had the opportunity to start opening in front of, 5,000 people, opening for Foreigner. So we opened for Foreigner, we've opened for REO Speedwagon, we've opened up for the Beach Boys, we've opened up for Jefferson Starship, a few other bands, and it's just incredible. We have such an amazing time playing in front of these big crowds and having a lot of fun with it. I play bass and I sing backup, and I also play a little guitar, and it's something that I've done since I was in high school. But as I said, I played in a couple of bar bands when I was in college and just out of college, but realized early on I needed to devote more attention to my career. And it's just great now that I've got a little more time on my hands to sort of be able to get back into that and just have a lot of fun with it. And the name of the band is Second Sight. And we play a lot in LA. And as I said, every once in a while we open up for these bigger bands in festivals in Arizona or California. And I'm just having a lot of fun with it. It's a great outlet.
Going from the band to Alaska, you go fishing once a year or so on a nice trip. Who do you go with and what do you catch?
I go fishing with my brother and my father, and we catch salmon, halibut, lingcod. We're focused on salmon, but usually if we do well that day, then we'll spend some time catching halibut because everybody loves to eat the halibut. And we usually do really, really well. We go up to Sitka, Alaska, which is the old Russian village in the Alaska Islands, the southern part of Alaska. We just have an amazing time, and it's just a great time for my dad and my brother, my uncle and I to bond. And it's been a long time family tradition. my brother and father both spent quite a bit of time in Alaska. My father used to actually worked on a salmon fishing boat for a couple of years. And so we got a big connection to that. And it's actually led to something really interesting, which is we'll catch this salmon and I'll smoke a lot of it in this old 12-hour smoking system. And then I'll make it into this dip that my brother invented a recipe for. And I happened to show that to a friend of mine who does millions and millions of dollars of business with Costco. And she tried it and she said, we have to market this. This is the greatest thing ever. So now we're putting together a company to start making salmon dip. And of course, hopefully I'm not giving away too much, but ultimately we want to end up taking it to Costco. So it's my newest business adventure.
And that goes into the next, what's next for Bill Fay? Is it's going to be staying in consumer products in terms of business to business with alcohol and salmon dip? Or do you have any interest at all in going back and doing anything in movies?
Oh, I definitely want to do more in the film business. I'm fortunate enough at this point in my career to be able to pick and choose what I want to be involved with. So I'm always going to be looking for something that I think can make money, but also something where I'm working with people that I like and respect, and working on something where the material, the script, is exciting to me and I think is going to make an impact. I definitely think I'll be making more movies, but in the short term, I'm really focused on getting this company off the ground, the liquor company off the ground. I'm thinking that at some point we'll either be an acquisition target, which I think is highly likely, or in success, we'll get to the point where I really need to hire a CEO to run the company who has deep liquor experience and can really explode this thing into something huge. So one way or another, it's probably going to mean that I'm not going to be completely hands-on sometime in the next couple of years. But in the short term, I'm just having a great time with it, and building a business that's completely different from anything else I've ever done is really turning out to be a great experience. But yeah, I'll be back in the movie business for sure.
Is there a website that people want to learn about Pure Smooth, or for that matter, Second Sight?
The company's name is Steric, Steric Systems, and the website is stericsystems.com. And we call the process Pure Smooth. Anybody can check out the website, and if you happen to be a distiller or in the liquor business, get in touch with us. We'll show you what we can do. On the band side, we have a Facebook page, but I don't know how current it is right now because everything has been kind of shut down for COVID. But hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll get back in business, and you can keep an eye out for Second Sight.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate your discussion and the forthcoming nature of taking us through and giving us an education on the movie business and beyond.
It's been my pleasure, David. It's been great talking with you.
To connect with David, go to davidradlow.com. David's book set, The Principles of Cartel Disruption and Secret Stories of Leadership, Growth, and Innovation, are available wherever books are sold. This has been Sustainable Leadership and Disruptive Growth with David Radlow, a presentation of Forbes Books.